dealing with some crazy situation, and you just wish you had some like ancient wisdom to help you out, something a little more timeless than the usual advice.
Totally. That feeling, right? Wanting to understand what's really going on, how to navigate things smarter. It's like a basic human thing. And it's amazing how relevant these old thinkers still are.
Hmm.
Like they had some real insights into how we tick, even way back then.
Yeah, and that's what we're getting into today. Cracking open Sun Tzu's Art of War, specifically Chapter X, all about terrain. But hold on, when you think terrain, you're probably picturing battlefields, right? Like mountains and rivers.
Yeah, the physical landscape.
Exactly. But what we're going to do is take Sun Tzu's ideas about environment and position and see how they relate to, well, pretty much anything you might be dealing with.
It's like thinking of terrain as the whole playing field, not just the geography, but like the competition in your industry, the power dynamics in your team, even the emotions during a negotiation. It's about understanding all the factors that shape your choices and the outcome, you know?
Yeah, so think of it this way. This isn't just some history lesson. It's like we're going to pull out some super sharp tools for understanding your own challenges, whatever they are. Spotting advantages, dodging dangers. We're talking 6 types of terrain, 6 mistakes leaders make, which Sun Tzu calls calamities, and how you, as the leader in your own life, can navigate all of this. Ready?
Let's dive in. Sun Tzu starts with these 6 kinds of terrain. First up, accessible ground. What's that about?
Accessible means it's easy to move across. No big obstacles. Think wide open plains. And Sun Tzu says, get there first. Grab the high ground. Literally the higher sunny spots.
Makes sense, right? Like, even if we're not talking about actual battles, in any competition, starting strong, having a clear view, that's a huge advantage.
For sure. And he also says, watch your supply lines.
Right. Protect what keeps you going.
And that's so relevant today. Your supplies could be your money, your team, your data, anything essential. If those get messed up, even a great starting position can crumble.
Totally. Like, remember when that new gadget came out? Everyone wanted it, but the company couldn't make enough. They had the high ground of innovation, but their supply chain couldn't keep up.
Perfect example. Okay, next terrain. Entangling ground. What's that like?
So entangling ground, think of it like a dense forest or maybe a super complicated contract. Easy to get into, but hard to get out of.
Right, a real mess.
And Sun Tzu's got 2 main strategies here. If the enemy's not ready, hasn't taken the high ground, move fast, seize a strong position, exploit their weakness. But, and this is key, if they're prepared, holding a strong position, don't charge in blindly.
Right, don't make things worse.
Yeah, instead pull back, try to lure them out, make them leave their advantage. Like, don't fight when you're weak. Use a strategic retreat to change things up.
Like in a business deal, you walk away from a bad offer and suddenly they're more willing to negotiate.
Exactly. Knowing when to be aggressive and when to be patient, even when it seems passive, that's powerful. Now we got temporizing ground. This one's interesting.
Yeah, temporizing ground is weird. It's like a stalemate. Neither side has a clear advantage.
Right, it's neutral territory.
And Sun Tzu says, don't rush in. Even if they dangle something tempting, it's often better to hold back, even retreat a bit to tempt them forward.
It's about patience, waiting for the right moment. Have you ever felt that pressure to decide quickly, even when your gut said wait? That's temporizing ground.
Totally. You want them to move first, show their hand before you commit, then narrow passes. This one seems pretty obvious.
Yeah, think bottlenecks, mountain passes, bridges, anything that restricts movement.
Control the choke point.
Exactly. If you can, get there first, build up defenses, and wait.
But what if the enemy's already there?
Right, then what? Don't try to force it if they're strong. It's not worth the losses. Unless, and Sun Tzu makes this exception, unless they're weak, then maybe there's a chance. But you got to know for sure how strong they are.
So, good intel is key. Okay, to recap. High ground on accessible ground, lure them out on entangling ground, be patient on temporizing ground, control or carefully assess narrow passes. 5th type, precipitous heights. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's like accessible ground, but more extreme.
Get to the high ground, but steeper. Right.
Yeah, like cliffs and mountains.
But if they're already up there, don't climb up and attack. Lure them down. Same as entangling ground.
Yep, use their position against them. Don't fight uphill. And last one, positions at a great distance. This is about logistics, fighting far away.
Sounds tricky.
It is.
Yeah.
Sue says it's tough to start a fight when you're so far apart, and even if you do, it's usually bad news.
Makes sense. Supplies, communication, everything's harder. So knowing these 6 types of terrain is the foundation. But now, Sun Tzu gets into something else. The 6 calamities. And these aren't about bad weather or accidents, are they?
Nope, these are leadership failures. Things that go wrong because of the generals, or in our case, any leaders, bad decisions. The first one is flight. What causes that?
Basically, being totally outnumbered, like 1 unit against 10. It's about knowing when you just can't win.
Right, a realistic assessment of your chances. Not about being a coward, but about understanding overwhelming force.
Hmm.
Next is insubordination. What's the issue there?
Sun Tzu says it's when the team's too strong and the leader's too weak. They don't respect orders. Ever seen a project where people ignored the manager?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And the next one, collapse, is the opposite, right?
Collapse is when the leader's strong, but the team's weak. Maybe they're not skilled enough or they've lost morale. You need good people at all levels.
Then there's ruin. That one sounds bad.
It is. Ruin happens when the higher-ups are angry and disobey orders. They attack on their own, just out of spite. It's total chaos, driven by ego, not strategy.
Like a leader losing control and internal fights causing external problems. Yikes. Fifth is disorganization. How does that happen?
This one's all about bad leadership. Sun Tzu says it's a weak leader, unclear orders, no clear roles, sloppy work. It's a mess. Like a startup where the founder hasn't figured things out.
Right. No direction, no communication, no standards. And lastly, rout. The worst case scenario.
Rout is when the leader misjudges the enemy completely. They send a weak force against a strong one, or they don't use their best people properly. It's a total failure to understand the situation.
So these 6 calamities, they're like warning signs showing how important leadership is.
Yeah.
This brings us to the main player, the general, the leader. What does Sun Tzu say about them?
He's clear. Knowing the terrain isn't enough. A good leader also understands their opponent, plans for victory, and carefully thinks about difficulties, dangers, distances. It's about seeing the whole picture.
Right, it's not just about the facts on the ground, but about the other players and what might go wrong. And then he says, knowledge without action is useless.
Totally. You gotta put what you know into practice or you're gonna lose.
He even says, if you know you can win, you have to fight, even if your boss says no. And if you know you can't win, you shouldn't fight, even if they order you to. It's about using your judgment, even when it's tough.
That takes guts. And then he describes the ideal leader. Someone who cares about their people more than their own fame or safety. Is about putting the team first.
And he uses this great analogy. Treat your team like your kids. Show them you care, and they'll be loyal and brave.
But then he warns about being too nice, being liked but not respected. That just creates a team that's weak and useless. It's about balance.
Yeah, kindness without strength doesn't work. He also talks about knowing yourself and knowing your enemy. How does that help you win?
He spells it out. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Basically, you got to know what you're good at and what they're good at.
Ignorance is a huge risk.
Ah.
He even gives advice for moving and camping.
Yeah, when you're moving, take the risky, important spots first. When you camp, choose a place that's safe and convenient. Always be thinking about threats and opportunities.
And he says, don't camp with ravines on your right or hills behind you. High ground and sunshine are your friends. Even the small details matter.
Right. And take care of your team. Camp on solid ground so they don't get sick. Little things make a difference.
He also says, watch out for flooded rivers, wait for them to go down. And avoid really dangerous places, cliffs, canyons, thick woods, swamps, anything like that. And if you can, make the enemy go there instead.
Yeah, that's clever. And scout any risky spots near your camp. Hills, ponds, anything that could hide an ambush. Don't get complacent.
He gives some final warnings. Don't be overconfident. Always think about what the enemy might do. And be flexible. Change your plans when you need to. A good leader can judge the enemy's strength, calculate their chances, see the dangers, and use the terrain and weather to their advantage.
It all comes down to this. Knowing the situation and acting on that knowledge leads to victory. Not knowing or not acting leads to defeat. It's a simple idea, but so powerful.
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive into terrain, what should our listener be thinking about?
I think the big thing is terrain isn't just about maps. It's the whole context of any challenge. The good stuff, the bad stuff, the other people involved. You got to figure out what kind of ground you're on. Is it open? Is it tricky? Is it balanced? That's how you start making a plan. Think about a project you're working on now. What kind of terrain is that?
And remember those 6 calamities. Those are the things that can mess you up from the inside. No discipline, bad leadership, not understanding the competition. Those are dangers for anyone in any field. Have you ever seen one of those play out in your own life?
And lastly, leadership is everything. It's not enough to just know stuff. You got to be decisive, adaptable, know your strengths and weaknesses and theirs. It's about thinking strategically, not just tactically.
So as you go about your day facing your own challenges, think about the terrain you're in. What's it like? What dangers are lurking? Are you leading with the awareness and foresight that Sun Tzu talked about all those years ago? It's amazing how relevant his ideas still are.
On that note, we're wrapping up our deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.